All right, welcome to tonight's call. We're going to be going over the Guide's Guide and touching on three specific areas of the Guide's Guide, one being making the first call, what do I say when, and encountering emotions. So I just wanted to share some points with you guys, and then, keep these in mind when you talk with your families, and maybe you want to share them with your families as well. But this is a safe place. As a team, working with your families, it's always a safe place. You can say or ask questions that you have and not feel like you are going to be judged for them. Respect one another and our opinions. We do have our own beliefs and biases, and sometimes they come to the surface, and it's okay to share amongst the team. And letting the family know, too, that it's okay to share with me, and I'm not going to judge you for what you say. No questions are stupid. One of the important ones, especially with working with families, is when I refer to Jack, I refer to him as being deaf. However, your child, you might not refer to your child as being deaf. You might say they have hearing loss or they're hard of hearing. The same going for your parents that you work with. Just let them know. I might refer to my child as deaf, or when I talk about deaf children, I use the term deaf, but that encompasses all children with hearing loss. So that they know that when you're talking specifically about deaf children, meaning children with hearing loss, that you're incorporating everyone. Because if you're using the term deaf, then they think, well, that doesn't reflect on my family, or it's not appropriate to us because my child isn't deaf. Okay, so making sure and understanding that everyone's, what terms that they use. If you don't want to ask a question out loud, then you message me. And for your families, maybe you want to say, maybe you don't know what questions to ask right now, or maybe you're a little hesitant on how to word a question. Know that after I'm done talking with you tonight, or after we leave here in our meeting, if you're meeting them one-on-one, you can always text me or call me or email me when you do have those thoughts pulled together. And then to tell me what you need. I can't guess at what your needs are, nor do I want to. So I can't help you unless you let me help you, and that's by communicating with me. Okay? So making that first call, I have to admit those first couple calls, they're a little nerve-wracking. You don't know where the family is at and what the situation might be. And honestly, it's really better not to judge where you think the family might be, because if they are on a totally different path, it could really throw you for a loop. So just go in with an open mind and be ready to listen. So before you make that call, take a deep breath. Remember why you do this. You're in this position because you have experience, and you went through, a pretty good interview. I think that the questions that we ask and what we look for makes you stand out from the crowd. And remember that. And we just don't pass out these guide positions. Reread the intake information that you get from me, especially the child's name and age and what issues they might have or what the family is looking for at this time. Speak clearly and slowly. Okay, sometimes when our nerves get the best of us, we speed up, or we might actually just talk really softly. That might be the way that we go when we get nervous. So don't have a conversation with only yourself because they can't understand you. Ask if it is a good time to talk. So when they pick up that phone, say, hi, my name's Susie with Guy by your side. Is it an okay time to talk right now? Do you have a few minutes? And then above all, don't rush the conversation or don't go through your agenda. Listen to what their needs are. All right. Let's see. So how are you going to start the conversation? There's a couple key phrases that you could use. Again, just like how I started with the last point, hi, this is Susie. Is this an okay time to talk? Do you have a few minutes? The other way you can go is instead of announcing that you're a parent guide, you can start by saying, Carrie talked to you the other day, and I'm the parent that's going to be working with you, and I'm, also a parent of a child with hearing loss, and see where that goes. As you do more, you'll feel more comfortable and kind of get into your groove of how you introduce yourself. These are just some suggestions. Again, if it's been a little bit, then you might want, if it's been a couple days since I actually did that call with you, say you're calling exactly 48 hours later, then you might want to say, the other day you spoke with Carrie and she gave me your information to me, and I'm the parent guy with Guy by your side. And then you could go, do you have a few minutes to talk? So again, just a few different ways to get the conversation started. How do you introduce yourself? So again, slow and steady. Don't tackle everything on the first call. And I know we've talked about this a lot of times, but it's really hard not to. So that's why I keep mentioning it. Really, the first call should just be an introduction. I'm just calling to see when you would be available to meet with me in person. I'd love to show you some resources I have and to learn more about Dave's journey. Do you have a day of the week that works better for you? And then go from there. By steering the conversation that way, you're really not giving them that chance to make excuses or to say that, in person isn't what they're looking for. It's not a yes or no question. Also be aware of those yes or no questions. I did not end with yes or no. I asked what day of the week works best. Some other phrases that you can use when you're working with a family. And this could be maybe the conversation has hit a lull, and we'll get a little bit further into that too. You could say, I remember some questions I had when my child was diagnosed. I was concerned on, what schools they might go to, or I was thinking, I remember one of the first thoughts I had is, are they going to be able to, drive a car and go to prom? And as silly as that sounds now to me, those were really some of my initial thoughts. I remember wondering if there was any other kids in our area that had a hearing loss. What would happen when making friends? Those were some of my first thoughts, only because I immediately go to that childhood phase instead of the baby phase. You could also start by saying, I'd really like to meet up with you, and I'm going to be in your area this week. Do you think that we can maybe find time to either meet at your home, or we can meet at the library or a coffee shop? Which area do you think you would like to meet at? And go from there. Again, not ending in that yes or no question. If there's, again, the lull in the conversation, you're trying to figure out, okay, where can I steer this conversation? And maybe you want to bring up hands of voices because you maybe from the intake it's one of those families where it doesn't seem like they have a lot of concerns or questions right now, because maybe they're in that spot where they don't know what they need to know. So you could just start by saying, have you heard about Hands of Voices? We have a really great website with lots of information out there. And if you're ever up and searching the web for resources, I'd highly recommend that being one of the places to start. You know that the information on there has been gone over by professionals, and you know that it's unbiased. So that might be something that you want to use. And again, pointing out those safe places to gather more information to. All right, so our season guides. Do you have anything to share about making those first calls, maybe a phrase that works for you, or a good call, good first calls, maybe your couple of first calls maybe that didn't go as well as you thought? Anyone want to share anything? And I can always call somebody out.
This is Krista. I can tell you that, of course, I talk fast anyway. For those of you who know me know this, but I guess I did not recall as much about the importance of not trying to get your whole entire 25 years of getting to know them in the very first conversation. And so then by the time that I would try to bring up about coming by, they were sort of like, why? We know each other's whole life history. So it is, you almost have to pace yourself and put a big sticky note on my forehead that says, you know, don't get it all today. Just get to the basics. So that's just my information.
Excellent point, Krista. Thank you.
This is Andrea. One of the things that I have found, because I get most of the people that are having issues with something to do with their school, you know, IDEA, whatever, and I find that I jump right to that, and I forget to ask what they're, you know, where are you at right now? So I've had to regroup myself probably over the past 6 months since I started really slowing down with clients to remind myself that at the end of the day I'm still a parent guide, even though my expertise lies in this one area. Being fair to them, I need to allow them to tell me their story before we delve into the problem at hand. Even though that is the main reason they're calling, it still is a good idea to tell me how this all began. Give me your story. I'm here to listen, and then just listening to everything that they've gone through thus far. That's been a learning point for me.
Great sharing. And I think with that too, oh, sorry, Melissa, sometimes with listening to the whole story, you might get another piece of information in there if you would have just gotten where they're at right now. So, Melissa?
Yes, I just wanted to share that I try to remember where they are in their journey compared to where I am, and try to put myself in their shoes, because most of my families have younger children than mine, and remember how I felt back then, to remember how wild my emotions were, to find a common ground of something to talk about. And for some reason, toupee tape is like a very common thing to talk about with hearing aids.
Yes, yes. And sometimes, like you just said, it's really down to the very basics of the conversation. And if you are working with somebody that's, you know, got that 4-week-old that was just diagnosed, you got to remember too, mom is still hormonal. So she's got a lot going on with just her and her body, let alone handling the diagnosis and thinking of where to, you know, go and what to do with her own child too. So very good point.
Hey, this is Allie.
Oh, go for it, Allie.
Sorry. I just was thinking I try to also always ask if they have support from their family members and how it's going with the husband and what they think and things like that, because sometimes if there is a lull in the conversation and you start asking some questions like that, it leads to more information that they didn't think they were going to share, but then they end up realizing that that's something they want to talk about.
Exactly, exactly. And we're going to get a little bit into that in a little bit too. Great point. All right, we are on to role playing. Woot, woot. All right, we are going to start with, let's see, Emily. So get yourself ready to unmute. The first situation is I'm going to be the caller, or no, you're going to be the guide. I'm going to be the parent, and you're going to call me. I'm going to answer, and you're going to go with this, okay? And you can take out Susie and put in Emily if you'd like. Ready?
All righty.
All right, so you got to go ring, ring, so I know you're calling me.
Bling.
Oh, she's got a fancy one. Hello.
Hi, Carrie. Is this Carrie?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Carrie. My name is Susie, and I'm calling from Guide by Your Side. I'm a parent of a child with hearing loss as well. Is now a good time to talk?
Yeah, thanks. Perfect. Good job. All right. Lydia, you are next.
Okay.
Oh, I see. She stole your thunder there, Lydia. All right, so Lydia, give
Sorry,
me a call.
I got ahead of myself.
No, you just wanted to hit them all out of the ballpark.
I did.
Very good. All right, Lydia, you're going to focus on the second point here. on the screen, okay?
Okay.
So give me a call.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, my
Hello?
name is Lydia. Hi, is this Carrie?
Yes, it is.
My name is Lydia, and I'm calling from Guide by Your Side. I am a parent guide. Is this a good time to talk?
Oh, I don't know. Little Jimmy here is grabbing on my dress. I'm going to be naked before you know it.
Oh, no problem. When is the best time to reach you?
Maybe later tonight, like after 8.
No problem. I'll try calling you around 8:30. Is that good?
That works great. Thanks.
Sure, no problem. Have a good day.
Thanks. All right. So how many of you are rolling on the floor because I'm going to be naked?
I was thinking Lydia should have said, get your dress on.
Seriously, just happened to me last night, did it not, Mindy?
I knew you could all relate. I have to wear a belt because the girls keep pulling down my pants. All right. Cindy, you are up. And the whole point of this, and you might think, where is she going? I'm telling them to hang up on me? For exactly that reason, Mom confesses that the kids are around. She's going to try to talk, but, little Susie's been sick, and she might need to run her to the bathroom to throw up. So, you never know. Mom might want the break only because it's been one of those days, and so she's like, yeah, you can talk, but, right now it's kind of crazy. So that's when you can just jump on in and go with this phrase, okay? So, Mindy, give me a call.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is Carrie available?
Yes, this is.
Hey, Carrie, this is Mindy. I'm calling from Guide by Your Side. I'm a parent of a child with hearing loss. Is now a good time to talk?
Oh, it's been kind of a crazy day. The kids are everywhere, and Susie's just been sick all morning.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hey, we could try it. If you need to hang up on me, it's totally fine. I understand.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan.
All right.
Good deal, good deal. And then you could just, continue that phrase. If you need to hang up on me, it's okay. We can pick up the conversation later, or I could try you later tonight and see what they say. Because you want to kind of fill in when you might want to check up on them, only because you don't want to be sitting there at home. They hung up on you, and you're thinking, okay, how long do I wait to call? So, that kind of thing, too. And, Susan, you're going to have to wait to the next one. Sorry there, dear. All right. So now we're going to kind of get into the next section here, and then we'll have a little bit role-playing after this. This section, what do I say when? I really think of it being like a crowbar, because sometimes you're in a situation where that uncomfortable, the conversation's going nowhere. I really feel like I'm not helping the family. What do I do when this situation arises? And, when you're working with a crowbar, if you go in and you shove the crowbar in and you pop it, you have a chance of breaking whatever you're working on, right? So sometimes you have to go a little bit by little bit to work it and to get it in there and to lift up a little section, then you slide it down, and you lift up another section, slide it down. Same thing when working with your families. You don't want to go in, full force, guns blazing with everything that they need to learn. Sometimes you need to ease them and ease yourself into the situation and get them comfortable with you. All right. So if a parent says they don't have questions right now, mention some of the initial feelings, thoughts, or questions you had. I remember I was so confused by all the terminology and acronyms that all the professionals were using. I really didn't know what was what. Okay? I don't know about you, but I felt like I was spinning around in circles after a doctor visit because they had shared so much and I didn't know really anything. And honestly, as a new parent, I was afraid to ask for more clarification. because the way they presented it to me, it was presented in a manner like, well, you should already know this. And I think that comes with the job, that they're so used to spitting out that information every day that it is second nature to them, but I think sometimes they forget that it isn't for the parents, the first-time parents. All right, so the next situation could be there's no response when you ask, how are you doing? It's that dead kind of silence. So then what? You could just continue to wait and see. Again, one of the points in the questions is don't say anything. Just let the silence happen. And I know sometimes that's uncomfortable. You could also say, you know, I remember at the beginning I felt like I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who would understand what I was going through, and I didn't know who could truly answer all my questions. And you could say, and that's why I'm here for you. That's what the whole point of this program is we're parents that have been on that journey. We're still on that journey, and we understand the questions that you might have, and no question is silly. So please don't hesitate to ask or share what you're feeling. The third situation might be where, again, the conversation is really in a lull. And so have you mentioned to them that you're a parent, that your child might also have additional needs? We do have families that have children with situations that are beyond just the hearing loss. And maybe you have experienced things in that same realm. And when it does go beyond just the hearing loss, they're dealing with more professionals and more appointments and more concerns. And maybe, you know, there are issues that hearing loss isn't really at the front burner for them. Maybe, you know, the heart condition or the surgery for something else coming up is really what they're focused on right now. And maybe you can relate to how you manage to wrangle in the different things that you were trying to keep track of and prioritize what situation really needs to be cared for first, because you can't sometimes tackle it all. So again, leading in, I don't know how much Carrie told you, but my son not only has a hearing loss, but also has been diagnosed with autism or whatnot. And no, Jack has not been diagnosed with autism, just throwing something out there. Okay. Situation 4, the family doesn't want to visit you in person. And like I shared before, that could be for a variety of different reasons. You can go with the, I'm going to be in the area anyway, or, oh, sorry, let's go back. You could say, again, about meeting in a different location, or ask if maybe there was somebody else that they would like you to meet with them at the same time. Maybe they feel like the one-on-one is really just them, but maybe they'd feel more comfortable if their mom was there with them, or the husband, significant other. So, you know, you can definitely offer that to them too. And I know many guides have met with extended family in in-person visits, and that's been very successful for the family. Fifth situation, it's a slow one. Pique their interest, all right? So again, lull in the conversation. You want to get them noticing or thinking about something. Again, do you know how about hands and voices? Or did you hear about this event coming up? The free event for families with children who have a hearing loss. It's for any age. There's going to be a storyteller and crafts and all a bunch of stuff that you can do and information to be shared. Each family gets to go home with a goodie bag. And I know that your son is only 2 months old, but really storytelling is great for any age. It'll give you a chance to see other kids and meet other families and just hang out. Sixth situation. They're still quiet and they really don't have any needs. They're not sharing with you. So now what? I'm going to mail you a few things to look over. Or, you know, I see that Choices for Parents is mailing you out a Children and Hearing Loss spiral-bound notebook. I always call it the binder, guys. This is bad. I know that they're going to send you out the notebook. How about after you take a look at that, and if there's anything that you have questions on, why don't you just mark the page or jot the note down, and when I give you a call, maybe, 2 weeks, would that work for you? When we talk in 2 weeks, we can go through any of those questions. And if anything comes up and you want to talk sooner than the 2 weeks, please don't hesitate to call, text, or email me, and I'd be happy to meet with you sooner. Okay? Situation 7. They continue to not have any questions, so keep going. I'm happy that all is going well with you. How about I give you a call back on February 8th, and if anything pops up before then, please feel free to contact me. I remember that things would come to me later, and I would be wishing I had somebody to talk to. Well, that's why I'm here for you, so don't be shy. Again, don't leave them hanging. Let them know when you're going to follow up with them. Encourage them to jot down that date. Because the other thing, too, is that even though you know the date, if they don't write it down, sometimes a month seems longer than a month, and so if they don't write it down, they might be thinking, didn't she say she was going to call me right now? And so she's kind of getting built up and upset because she was supposed to hear from you, and, hasn't it been a month, and she hasn't called me when really it's been 2.5 weeks. And so when you do call that mom in a month, she might be a little huffy, thinking you were supposed to call me 2 weeks ago, when really, no, this is the time frame that I was supposed to call you in. It just has felt like longer to you, or maybe you've had more happen in that time frame. Not that you would say that to a family, but certainly we don't want to start off a conversation off with the mom in a bad mood because she thinks you didn't respond in the timely manner when you did as promised. So encourage them to write those dates down. None of these points have worked. You have not been able to set up a home visit, and the phone conversation is weak. It was great talking with you today. How about I give you a call on February 8th around 8:30 at night? Would that work for you? Great. I look forward to learning more about Jim and hearing what he's been up to in the meantime. Remember, if you need anything before our next call, don't hesitate to contact me. And make sure you write that date down so if you have anything come up, you know that we'll be talking that date to discuss it some more, okay? All right. Dead ends. Sometimes the family just doesn't know how to communicate what they are feeling, or maybe they're afraid to say it out loud. Once we say it, it's real. And sometimes the situation's scary, and we don't want it to be real. Try to connect. Maybe think outside of the box of, what do you like to do in your spare time? Oh, you like to read? I do too. What's your favorite thing to read? Do you like romance or mystery? Who's your favorite author? Kind of go beyond the hearing loss. Because sometimes at the beginning stages especially, parents are so wrapped up in that they kind of feel like lost in their everyday life. So maybe get them thinking a little bit about something else, finding a way to click with them so that you can build that relationship where they feel like they can open up to you. Ask them if they would like to talk with somebody else, okay? Maybe it being, again, you don't feel like they're clicking. You could come right out and say, I'm not quite sure, if you feel we've made a connection, if you would like to talk to somebody else on our team, be happy to have Carrie give you a call and you can work that out, or, just let me know what you need. And then the other thing that I want you guys to start doing, because I'm doing it with the families, so 2 points on this. 1, you got to do it, and then 2, I want you to keep reiterating. Remind them that in order to keep their file open, that you need to communicate with them once a month. And that's a two-way street. They need to communicate with you. You need to communicate with them. Somewhere along the line, you guys need to touch base once a month, if not sooner. But typically our interactions are once a month. Suggest to them that if they don't need your services, that they can exit the program and re-enroll at any time. So, that might be, again, you've tried several contacts and the conversation really doesn't go anywhere, and say, you could simply say to them, you know, it sounds like your family's doing well and that you've had some successful appointments and, you know, now little Jimmy is in early intervention. He's receiving therapy. You know, do you feel like you've had enough support and that maybe you want to leave God by your side? And keep in mind that, you know, just because you were in our program once doesn't mean you can't re-enroll. We support families throughout the years, and we'll be here for families with children up to the age of 21 and go from there. All right, role play. All right, Susan, it's your turn. I don't know what it is yet. All right, so this is what I'm going to say, Susan. And you can think for a second here of what you might respond with, okay? And let's see. We'll just keep it simple. I'm always going to be Carrie, and my son's always going to be Jack. So, Susan, you've called me. I've answered. We've done the initial conversation, okay? And you've just asked me, how are you doing? How's everything been since the last time we talked? Okay? So you just asked that, or why don't you go ahead and ask that? Oh. Susan, are you on then? She just messaged me saying that her phone just died. All right, so we're going to grab the next lucky person here, and that is going to be Allie.
Sorry, had to get off mute.
That's okay.
So
all right.
I just asked you.
You just asked me.
How are you doing? What's been going on?
I'm fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Do you have any news that you want to share? Have you been to any appointments or have any questions that you've been wondering about?
Yeah, you know what? Gosh. It doesn't even seem like a week already, but yeah, we were just at the audiologist last week.
Oh, okay. Well, sometimes that can be pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of information that the audiologist likes to share. So how do you feel that went? Do you have any questions about what happened there? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you know, I agree. It was a lot of information, and then it was kind of a little difficult when I got home to try to explain it to the husband because he wasn't able to make the appointment. All right, Allie, we can stop there.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job. Now, just be careful when you throw out emotions there. What I try to do is I try to put the emotion on myself, saying, I remember feeling overwhelmed at the thing, instead of just throwing it out there in general, or trying never to say, you must be feeling really overwhelmed. We never want to impose a feeling on a family because then they might sit back and be like, oh, I should be feeling overwhelmed. I'm not feeling overwhelmed. What does that mean? Right? So we don't want to do that. All right, very good. Susan, did you manage to connect again? I don't think
Susan has arrived.
There she is. Hey, Susan.
Sorry.
It's okay. Allie just did yours, so you get this next one.
Okay.
Well, not this one here. So if the parent is not willing to talk, try to encourage it, but don't overpush. Ask how the husband or partner is doing, just like Andrea had commented earlier. Okay, and we do have partners, so, you know, keep that in mind, too, when making sure that you don't say husband, review the intake. All right, Susan, this is all yours. So we're talking, and I'm going to say this to you, okay? I don't know, Susan. I'm just not really sure about all of this.
Well, what is it that you're concerned about? Is there something that I can help you with? I guess I'm not really even sure what to say if somebody said that to me.
Well, you know, and what you did was a good point, because you don't know what they mean. Are they not sure because there's too much to take in at this moment, or are they just confused by something, and so forth? So where you went, that's a good springboard. You know, and you could say it's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming. Let's take it a step at a time. and giving them one thing to accomplish before the next visit, if that is the situation. If it's the situation of, all these acronyms, I don't know heads from tails, you could suggest to them, well, the Children in Hearing Loss notebook, that has an acronym section in the back, a glossary. So you could look those up if you have any ones that you're not quite sure what they mean. You can look it up and then you'll get an explanation, okay? Otherwise, really, truly break it down for the family and say, I hear that you're, stressed out about, what's going on with EI, trying to get the hearing aids, and, then on top of that, him spitting up the milk all the time. Obviously, out of those three, really the most important is the child's health. So focusing on the spitting up of the milk, have you talked to the pediatrician? Again, this doesn't have anything to do with hearing loss, but if that kid is making a mess at every meal, he's not gaining weight, that is going to be something that's going to weigh on mom, more than the hearing loss. So have you talked to the pediatrician about, the spitting up issues? How do you feel with the suggestions that were given and so forth? And then say, okay, well, let's, you mentioned about the hearing aids. When did the doctor say that, you were supposed to get the hearing aids, or do you have a follow-up appointment to get the hearing aids? And if they say, no, I don't have an appointment, how about you call or email the audiologist back and see when you should be expecting that appointment to be. All right? Very good.
Okay.
All right, let's see. We're going down the line. Andrea.
Yes. I'm ready.
Okay. So you want to come over here? I don't know if I have the time, and my house is a mess, and I have to go to the store, and what am I going to feed you?
Well, first of all, I'm not coming over to see your house. I'm coming over to talk with you. And this is all about you. We can meet next week. We can meet at a different location. It's all up to you. You just need to figure out what's going to feel right to you, and then we can go from there. At this point, let's just talk on the phone. Let's just get to know each other a little bit, and then you can let me know when you're ready to meet me face-to-face, and it's under your terms. We'll figure it out.
All right, sounds good. Very good, Andrea. The suggestions here suggest meeting another location, emphasizing the house doesn't need to be clean, but the underlying message is that they don't want to make time, don't push. So exactly what Andrea said, focusing on mom, focusing on now. All right. Who's next? Krista. Okay.
I knew it was going to be me. I was just going to blow my nose.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, the thing I'm really struggling with is my husband just got transferred here. We just really, we just uprooted our family, and I'm really trying to find daycare or play groups or something to help our kids get connected and to maybe give me a little bit of a break.
Okay. Well, with your I'm assuming that you're hooked up with early intervention here. So that's something even you could check with one of your therapists. They might know of even a family in your area that's maybe even going through something that's similar. You might have a child with the same thing. But of course, with the school systems, there's always wonderful whether there be mommy and me times, or if there's time that you need to get away with, a school system is a great area just for, or even churches.
Okay, thanks. And so I think contacting parents who live by, the therapist, that was a great point. Also contacting the local village to see if they have a list of daycares, maybe even families that do it out of their home, and so forth, depending on the, the size of the area that you live in.
What do you mean by local village?
You're like village hall? I don't know. Do you guys have village halls down there?
Let's see. I don't know if it's I'm from Kentucky, and I don't know what you mean, but I have no clue what you're talking about.
Some towns, some villages, village people,
We don't have any village people.
You know,
oh, man, I'm not even going to go there.
There are some towns that are not called towns, they're called villages.
Right. So you're just saying look for a small town close to you?
No, it was
just
your
saying,
town.
if you live, yeah.
Do you have a mayor and those folks, and where those folks are housed at? Typically the office that they work out of is referred to as the village hall.
Really?
Yes.
That's so funny. Never heard that. Sorry. Okay, we won't spend time on that. Okay.
That's
all right.
Okay.
Learned something new. Thank you.
And it's funny because I never looked at the word village like that before.
I'm just picturing Noble. I'm like, why would I call Noble to see what daycares they had? Okay.
So good point there, Krista. All right. Oh, wait.
I hadn't heard that either.
Liza. Huh? What was that?
Oh, this is Mindy, and I had not heard that either until we moved to Central Illinois. They don't say that out west either.
Okay. Well, I learn something new every day. Thanks, guys. All right, Eliza, are you ready?
No, I can't work my phone, apparently. I'm sorry.
Working now.
I'm glad you guys talked for a minute because I'm not an auditory learner, so I was trying to read this before you talked to me. I'm like, what? All right. Of course, this one. Okay. Sorry,
Ready?
I actually was asked this one recently. Okay.
Very good. Oh, this will be good. All right. Well, we looked on the Internet and found a blog from a parent who said that if we learn sign language, it can just delay speech. Is that right?
Well, you know, there's different points of views from many different people and different professionals also. I would say that you would probably want to look at a broader range of sources to see what they say. There's actual studies that have proven the opposite of that. But that is definitely something that they have to be comfortable with your family and for you to decide on. And if it was easier, I could actually look at some different sources for you and bring them over.
Very good. Internet resources can be complicated. They are not monitored. Everyone has different experience. First of all, it's a blog, so that's that family's point of view. That is not research-driven data.
No.
Suggest and then with other families who sign as well as our oral communicators. So, you know, keep in mind those different points when people are talking about Internet stuff, okay? I kind of cringe when I hear that. I've been on the Internet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my
and you
cringer
never know
right there,
where that conversation is going to go, right? So,
yeah.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I don't know if we have more role-playing on this one. Nope. So, just a heads up, I think it's Jacqueline, when we get to the next set of role-playing, you'll be up first, okay? All right. So we're going to go through emotions. And emotions, you know, it could be anything. And it could be a couple of these within the same appointment. And again, referring back to that new mom and that she's extra emotional still. So, again, you don't know. You could have one parent feeling one way and another parent feeling another, too. So, and that's okay. Guys, I think, are completely different animals from women, and we just process and handle things differently. But, you know, again, that's just my personal opinion, knowing how Andre and I have gone through situations, the same situation. So, knowing that, you know, not everyone may be grieving the hearing loss, too. Some families where it is hereditary, they might be happy that they have a child just like them, too. So be prepared for the unknown. Yeah. All right. So when these emotions come to the surface, see the families for who they really are. Know that it's a lot of information, and, you know, in the end, we're just human. And so
what emotions might be showing now might not be the same, and probably won't be the same in a couple days, a few weeks, who knows what the time frame might be, but they will be ever-changing. Stay in the moment, be present. Don't be thinking about what you're crock-potting at home for dinner, because that could throw you for a loop. It's kind of like when Andrea tries to multitask during webinars, and then I call her out, and she's like, oh, what? I heard my name. What? I love you, Andrea. But I do the same thing, so I know exactly that.
I just changed back to the screen we were on.
I know it because I do it too, and it's really hard sometimes when we've got our own stuff going on to stay there. Create a safe environment for them. Let them know that it's okay for them to share, and be authentic when you respond to what their emotions are. Reaffirm what's going on or going right. It's really second nature for us, again, as humans, to say, you know what, everything's going to be okay. And we can't guarantee that. So try not to say it's going to be okay, or everything will be all right, or it's going to work out. Again, point out, now you have the diagnosis. Let's move ahead. You know that you're going to be getting the hearing aids, and even though all this stuff is new, and there's a lot to maybe think about and to learn, you've got the professionals and you've got me by your side to help walk you through this, okay? And we will help you get through this. And if you need to talk to anyone else, just let me know, okay? Again, staying away from it's going to be okay, because you can't guarantee that. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know if that implant's going to fail. So don't make promises that you don't know or you can't be 100% sure about. Be an active listener, again, going back to that, being present, being in the moment, and listening for those real questions that's being asked. You might have the mom getting frustrated and angry because the hearing aids, there's just so much feedback in the car that, you know what, when we go out, I just take the hearing aids off and I leave them at home, because between the noise in the car and then, worried about him pulling them out in the store, it's just not worth it. And really, after you listen a little bit more, and, it might come out that, well, the first time we went out, there was the squealing in the car, the feedback because he fell asleep and it was rubbing against the car seat. And then we went into the store and I just felt like everyone was staring. And so really what might be happening is that mom doesn't know how to respond to people that might be curious or ask. And she might not feel comfortable for that right now. Encourage the parents to express their feelings. Again, sharing that it's a safe place. Validate their feelings, but don't patronize them or minimize them. Ask, what can I do for you? Is there anything that you need right now? And going on that, there was a situation that Karen had when she was doing an intake with the family, and the mom, was resistant to the help. And Karen just, everyone's trying to fix mom because she's not showing up for appointments. And Karen just threw it out there, and she goes, what can I do for you? What do you need right now? And the mom's like, I need diapers. So again, it might not always be the hearing loss piece of things. There might be something else going on that, the family can't balance the two. They can't prioritize what needs to get done first, or they just can't handle all of the stress from everything going on. Be present. Don't feel that you need to fix something, okay? Now, with the diapers, what Karen did is she, I think, either found some or she sent the mom to a resource that could help. But then again, don't feel that you need to fix everything. So don't feel you need to go out and buy that pack of diapers. Maybe is mom connected with WIC or something else that can help her out? Is there a family member that maybe you can ask to, get some for you? Or, just going to appointments. the family says that the audiologist isn't returning my call, or I just, yeah, I know I'm supposed to call them and make an appointment, but I just haven't done that yet. We're not going to pick up the phone and do it for the family because we're taking that power away. And we really need the family to be empowered and to be able to do things on our own. Otherwise, they're never going to feel strong enough to leave the program.
Carrie, I have a question. It's Allie.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the what can I do. I think I didn't answer that part in one of the questions because I thought exactly what you said. When you say what can I do, it sounds like I'm going to do it for you. So I thought that wouldn't be the right answer. So I don't know what to say about that. I agree to empower them to do that. So sometimes I'll just say, are there any resources that you need, or is there anything going on that, like you said, I don't know. I don't know if what can I do will work because I feel like that'll backfire where they'll say, can you make the phone call for me? Or can you find out this for me? And sometimes I feel like, they need to find that out for themselves. I can point them in the right direction, but I can't do it for them. I don't want them to feel like I'm going to do it for them.
Right. And I think that question can go many different ways. And I think one of the things that we have to kind of let go is we have to throw it out there and see where it goes. Again, we can't go in thinking that, if I ask this question, then they're going to respond this way, because they might not. And so if they do say, well, like I said, I just don't have time to make the call. Can you do it for me? Well, you know what? We're on the phone right now. How about we get off and you can make that call, unless it's 8:30 at night. Or, you can always suggest three-way calling. We're on the phone right now. Did you want to give them a call while I was on the line? I'm not going to say anything, but then after we hang up, if you have any questions, I'm still on the line. You can talk with me. Maybe it's just making that first call only because, again, the reality of it. This is really happening. We don't know really what the situation is. It could be a matter of they don't know what questions that professional is going to ask as well because they don't understand the terminology. And so, they're afraid that what if they ask me something I don't know? And so if it is a matter of not reaching out to the provider and they say, I just haven't had the time, can you do it for me? Well, we've managed to make some time now for our call. Do you think that maybe tomorrow morning you can just set aside? You're not going to need more than probably 10 minutes of your time. They're very busy as well, and 10 minutes tomorrow morning to make that call. Is there some reason why you're hesitant to make the call, or is there something else that maybe I can help you prepare to make that call? Maybe something on that order. Again, I hate when I said the word hesitant. I hate throwing that out there because I don't want to imply that on the family. So I don't know what maybe a different word would be to use, but going with that idea.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so comments? Anyone else? Otherwise, we got a little bit of role playing, and then we'll be wrapping it up. All right. Let's see. I think it was Jacqueline. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so this is what I'm going to say to you. I met a deaf man and told him that my son was deaf. I was really excited to make a connection, but when I told him that we didn't sign, he said that we should sign and be with other deaf kids. I don't know if I feel the same way.
Okay. And that's okay. Everybody is entitled to have their own opinion in that, and that's all right. I'm sure just because he's deaf, he wanted to share his opinion, but I think that you need to, further research other types of communication and make a decision what you feel you want to do for your family, because what you decide is the right choice for your family.
Good, good. Supporting the decisions made for the child and family. The other thing that you could do, too, is suggest meeting a deaf mentor or another deaf adult that you know that is unbiased, so they can have a positive deaf experience and not, I guess, after that interaction, think that all people will treat them that way. All right, nice. All righty then, Jen.
Yeah, kind of like Andrea, I had to switch screens. Sorry.
All right, ready? You know, I've been really thinking hard and trying to think maybe, you know, was there something I did during the pregnancy? What did I do to cause his deafness?
See, now this question hits close to home. This isn't what I would say because I asked this about Michael. I would say, you know, I don't think there was anything that you would have done to cause his deafness. Sometimes it just happens. For example, my son Michael, we don't have any history of deafness in our family, and my son has a bilateral hearing loss, which is progressive. So, yes, not very good, because I question that myself all the time. Sorry.
You know what? That's okay. Keep in mind, though, too, that some cultures, you know, when it comes to health issues, they believe that there's a reason or maybe even a higher power or whatnot, that somebody needs to be blamed for that. So that might be the hiccup in the road. The other thing that you can do is, well, if you really want to know more and see if there's maybe something in your family genetic makeup, if you want to, you know, maybe you want to go through some genetic counseling and consider a genetic test. The other thing, too, that you could touch on is maybe going back to, well, you know, I know it's a lot to grasp, and I felt similar when my son was diagnosed, but then I realized, and I heard the fact that 95% of children born with a hearing loss are born to hearing parents. And so because hearing loss is not something you can really see on a person, I think we don't see it as much as it really is out there. So maybe some things like that. The one thing, Jen, just be hesitant, bilateral, sensorineural, progressive, 3 very large words you used. And while that is our child's makeup and our diagnosis, just be aware that they might get, they're following you in the conversation, they're following you, and then you throw out bilateral, and then you throw out progressive, then they might be stopping, and you're still talking, but their brain's trying to process those words. All right. Kelly, you'll be next. Ready?
Okay.
My doctor called my son deaf mute. He doesn't know anything about what I'm going through.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why he might have used that terminology? You know, what was he referencing?
I don't know, maybe because he can't talk, but geez, he's only 8 months old. I mean, what, you know, are they supposed to be talking a lot at this age?
Well, was the doctor a pediatrician, or was it an audiologist, or?
Well, I really don't have a pediatrician. We kind of go to our family doctor. She sees everyone in the family.
Okay. Well, I understand, you know, some doctors, you know, everybody's human, and maybe they use the terminology from an experience that they had in their past, and, you know, everybody's human. And I understand how that might make you feel uncomfortable. But, you know, everybody, children all have certain stages that they go through, and children with hearing loss certainly fall into that category also. So I think it would be a good idea for, you know, you to find out at what point your child should be speaking, if that, you know, if the child is going to have aids, hearing aids, or whatever you guys choose to do down the road, if it's going to be oral. But, you know, just feel comfortable that your baby's being a baby and that, you know, you're doing what you need to do, and maybe talk to the doctor a little bit about, you know, that's not a terminology that I feel comfortable with. So, you know, in the future, if we could just say, you know, whatever you're comfortable with.
Excellent. Excellent. So deaf mute, I don't think I've heard that in a long time. It is an older term. And like you said, next time you tell your doctor, you tell them what you prefer, okay? Again, if you don't consider your child deaf, if that's the term you're not comfortable, you know, that you don't use as a family, then let the professionals know that. My son is hard of hearing, okay? Please stress that with families, too, again, when you're working with them. Oh, I forgot to next batter up. Lucy. Lucy. Maybe somebody pulled her dress down.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
I need to take my son to the doctor, and I didn't understand the stuff he was saying last time. Will you go with me? You know what to ask. You're so smart.
Well, I'll be glad to go with you to help you with the process. But it's if you don't understand some of the things, you might want to make a list of the things that you want to ask beforehand so you don't forget anything.
Okay. So ixnay on going with them. Okay, we don't go to appointments. Oh. But you did exactly the second half of it. But let's make a list of questions that you have, and so that you can be prepared to ask them and you don't forget something that maybe you want to ask. So, very good.
Okay.
In the end, you got there.
What about the one that I just recently had that they wanted me to go to the appointment with?
Oh, that's the one in,
well, this is like
the one out
in Joliet?
Yeah. No. When we discussed that, what was suggested was for Mom to make sure she had an interpreter so that she understood everything that was going on, because Dad wasn't communicating the visit with her.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we don't go to appointments. We don't go to IEPs, again, because we want to make sure that the family's empowered and prepared and feel like they can parent their child. So prep the mom, make sure Mom has the tools that she needs to handle the appointment. All right. I think we are running out of time, Batmans. So let's go. We're going to skip through the role playing. You last couple lucky duckies here. Oh, look at this. I had quite a few slides here. Well, I made sure that I had enough for each person. So, all right. Any questions? All right. Good job tonight, guys. Let's go through these post-test questions, and I'll let you go. I'll curl up on the couch or head into bed, okay? All right, Andrea.
All right.
Batter up.
Number 1, when you start a phone conversation, are you still recording?
Yes.
Okay. When you start a phone When you start a phone conversation with a family, you should A, ask if it's a good time to talk, B, prepare a meal at the same time, or C, tell them how busy you are.
Oh, crap, that scared me. Sorry, guys. Now my heart's racing. All right, question 2.
A phrase you can use when trying to set up an in-person visit is, I'm going to be in the area, true or false?
All right. Moving on to 3.
Number 3, to start a conversation, you may say, A, how is your husband doing? B, do you have any appointments coming up? C, I'm not sure if Carrie explained, but I also have a child with hearing loss. D, if you have to get off the phone, it's okay to hang up on me and we can pick up the conversation later. Or E, all of the above.
All right, hold on one second. Question 4.
It's appropriate to tell them it's going to be okay, true or false?
Okay, excellent. Question 5.
A response that is not appropriate is A, can be no response at all, just to listen. B, what can I do? C, validate their feelings. It's okay for you to feel this way. Or D, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but it will get better.
Question 6.
When a family is feeling overwhelmed from all the changes and information, you should A, suggest doing something that isn't related to the hearing loss. B, suggest that they just look at one thing for now. C, tell them that everything will be okay. Or D, answer A and B only.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.